Our South Africans are in for more dark nights. It's after Eskom implemented a stage 2 load shedding from 5 to 10 p.m. tonight. The rolling power cuts will continue at least until Thursday evening. The utility blamed this on a constrained power grid, warning that load shedding is a possibility over the next few weeks. Eskom says it will continue monitoring the system and give an update on the grid when the need arises. It's urged the public to continue using electricity sparingly, especially during morning and evening peak hours. While staying with electricity issues, some Soweto residents have embarked on sporadic protests over supply problems, with tyres and rocks still scattered on roads in Diepkloof and Pimville tonight. We're joined now by the Soweto Electricity Crisis Committee's Dr. Trevor Ngwani. Dr. Trevor, good evening to you. Thanks for your time. Look, the issue of Soweto and unreliable electricity has a long history. Tell us about what has spurred these latest protests.
Well, as you know, Kathy, it's winter time now, and when there's no electricity, there's a lot of suffering. The problem in Soweto is that you find an area without electricity for 3 days, for a week, for a month, some as long as a year. So I think life in Soweto is very hard. Life is hard. Everything is a problem. Remember, those people without electricity, many of them are poor, they are unemployed, they don't have enough money to get alternatives. It's just hard here, and it's going to get worse with the winter.
There have been previous promises made about, and commitments made to attend to this issue of the unreliable electricity supply. When you look at why it is that those commitments have not been met, what are the reasons, if any at all, have been provided to communities?
Well, basically, there is a class war in South Africa. So on the one hand, we have what we call white monopoly capital and the aspirant black bourgeoisie. Many of that bourgeoisie are leaders of the ANC. So they don't really care about what is happening to ordinary people. They only care when you create a problem for them. So as a result, infrastructure is left unattended. As a result, black working class areas are left without proper services. So this has been going on for a long time, but I think that, all actions have got consequences. So it's cumulative, Kathy. So it is now reaching breaking point, and people simply cannot take it.
Of course, it was over this very issue that the president was stopped in his tracks when he visited Soweto last year as part of the campaign trail for the local government elections. There were commitments under the then mayor about how they were going to be prioritizing and expediting some of the solutions. Has anything concrete come out of that? And when we then have today members of the community saying that they're going to go to the mayor's office, what is the reasonable expectation about what they will get?
Yeah, the people must go to the mayor's office because, public representatives, mayors, councillors, presidents, indeed, must be accountable. But I think the ruling party, the ANC, cannot be redeemed. I think they sold their soul to the capitalist devil, to money. So, what is happening now with electricity, with energy, Eskom in particular, it's a problem of privatization, commercialization, and also financialization. So, for example, the biggest portion of Eskom's debt is to the banks, is to financial companies. So that is where we are, Kathy. I'm afraid, we need a radical solution. We just cannot continue this way.
Of course, when you talk about the issue of debt, there's also what Soweto consumers owe Eskom.
Yes, but that is just a thumbsuck. You know, it keeps on changing. Recently, they had to cut that debt from their estimate of 20 billion to down to 9 billion because it turned out that, you know, the so-called principal amount owed was much smaller than the interest, which the law doesn't agree. So it's a thumbsuck. In fact, if Sowetans owe Eskom 9 billion, Eskom owes the banks 400 billion. So that is my point about financialization. Unfortunately, President Ramaphosa and Mr. Andre de Ruyter, they want to bring more banks into energy. And you all know what happens when the banks take over. Some people will be screened and they'll never get electricity. This is the problem in South Africa. We are selling our soul to money bags, to the capitalist devil.
All right, Dr. Trevor Ngwani, let's leave it there for tonight. He is with the Soweto Electricity Crisis Committee, and as you heard, they're going to be continuing with the protest they've been hosting. And this is really a call to get more sustainable electricity and more stable supply of electricity to that area.